The graduation speech that changed everything. My sister-in-law looked at my son with disgust and said, "Maybe if you weren't so weird, people would actually want to be your friend." My autistic son's face crumbled as he whispered, "I'm sorry for being broken, Dad." I smiled and replied, "Don't worry, buddy. Aunt Rebecca is about to learn what happens when you mess with my family." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. It started with a graduation ceremony. I was sitting in the packed auditorium watching my 12-year-old son Jake receive his elementary school diploma. The pride swelling in my chest was overwhelming. Jake had autism, and every single day was a battle. Social interactions were mountains to climb. Sensory overload could trigger meltdowns. Classroom assignments required triple the effort of other kids. But he'd done it. He was graduating with honors. My wife Sarah squeezed my hand as Jake's name was called. He walked across that stage with his characteristic careful steps, his graduation cap slightly askew, wearing the biggest smile I'd ever seen on his face. The other kids rushed across the stage, but Jake took his time, savoring every moment. When he shook the principal's hand and whispered, "Thank you," 3 times, his little ritual that made everything feel complete, I nearly cried with pride. This wasn't just any graduation. This was Jake proving to the world that different doesn't mean less capable. He'd overcome speech delays, sensory processing challenges, and social anxiety to get here. Every assignment completed, every friend made, every small victory had led to this moment. That's when my sister-in-law Rebecca leaned over with that familiar sneer. "Well, this is quite the participation trophy ceremony. They're giving diplomas to everyone these days, aren't they?" I should have known she'd find a way to poison this moment. Rebecca had always been the type to find fault in everything, but she'd gotten exponentially worse since her messy divorce 6 months ago. Her ex-husband Mark had left her for his 25-year-old secretary, and ever since, Rebecca had been on a mission to spread her misery to anyone within reach. Unfortunately, that usually meant targeting Jake. "It's not a participation trophy," I said quietly, trying to keep my voice steady. "Jake worked incredibly hard for this." She laughed, that bitter, hollow sound I'd grown to hate. "Oh, please, Michael. Let's be honest about what this really is. They're just being nice to the special needs kids. It's not like he's actually competing with the normal children." Sarah tensed beside me. "Rebecca, that's enough. I'm just saying, maybe it's time to start managing expectations here. Jake's going to have to live in the real world eventually, and the real world doesn't give out awards for trying your best." I forced myself to stay calm. This was Jake's moment, his day of triumph. I wasn't going to let Rebecca's toxic attitude ruin it with her poisonous words. But I could feel the anger building inside me like a storm. The ceremony ended, and families began gathering in the courtyard for the reception. Jake ran over to us, his diploma clutched in his hands like the most precious treasure in the world. His face was absolutely radiant with joy and accomplishment. Dad, did you see? I graduated. Mrs. Johnson said I had the highest score in math class. And Mr. Peterson said my science project was the most creative he'd ever seen." His excitement was infectious, and despite Rebecca's toxic presence, I felt my heart swell with overwhelming pride. "I saw everything, buddy. I'm so incredibly proud of you. You worked so hard for this moment." I picked him up and spun him around, something I'd been doing since he was a toddler. He laughed with pure joy, that beautiful, uninhibited sound that made everything else in the world fade away. "Can we get ice cream to celebrate?" he asked, his eyes bright with hope and anticipation. "The kind with the rainbow sprinkles?" "Of course we can, buddy. You pick whatever flavor your heart desires. You've earned it." That's when Rebecca decided to strike again, like a snake waiting for the perfect moment to inject her venom. "Ice cream? Really? Maybe we should talk about what comes next instead of celebrating every little thing." Jake's smile faltered. He was sensitive to emotions, even when he couldn't interpret them. "What do you mean?" Rebecca knelt down to his level, and every alarm bell in my head started ringing. I'd seen this before. The fake concern, the condescending tone, the way she positioned herself as the voice of reason while delivering crushing blows to a child's self-esteem. "Well, Jake, now that you're graduating, you need to understand that middle school is going to be very different. The other kids aren't going to be as accommodating as they were in elementary school. You're going to need to try much harder to fit in with everyone else." "Rebecca," Sarah warned, her voice sharp with protective anger. But Rebecca was just getting started. I mean, you can't keep doing that weird hand-flapping thing you do when you're excited. And you really need to learn to look people in the eye when they talk to you. The other kids are going to think you're even more strange than they already do. Jake's face began to fall. His hands, which had been stimming happily with the edge of his diploma, went completely still. The joy that had been radiating from him just moments before started to dim like a light being slowly turned down. Am I too weird? He asked in a small voice, looking between Rebecca and me with growing confusion and worry. You're not weird, Jake, I said firmly, shooting Rebecca a warning look that could have melted steel. You're absolutely perfect exactly as you are. But Rebecca wasn't finished destroying my son's confidence. She never was when she got started on one of her cruel missions. Michael, you're not helping by coddling him. He needs to adapt. The world won't change for him. Jake looked up with those trusting eyes. Dad, am I broken? The question hit like a physical blow. No, buddy. You're not broken. He's different, Rebecca interrupted. And different is hard. Maybe if you weren't so weird, people would actually want to be your friend. The words hung like poison. Jake's face crumbled, and I saw the meltdown signs starting. All the joy from graduation drained away. I'm sorry for being broken, Dad, he whispered. I didn't mean to be weird. Something inside me snapped. I'd spent 12 years protecting Jake, teaching him his differences were strengths. And here was Rebecca, family, tearing it all down. I smiled, but it wasn't happy. It was the kind that should have warned her. Don't worry, buddy. Aunt Rebecca is about to learn what happens when you mess with my family. Rebecca laughed. Oh, what are you going to do? Lecture me about acceptance? I didn't respond. Instead, I knelt to Jake's level. You are not broken. You're brilliant, kind, funny, and perfect exactly as you are. Some people are just too small to see how amazing you are. Why don't you get that ice cream with Mom? I need to talk to Aunt Rebecca. After they left, I turned to Rebecca. What the hell is wrong with you? I'm trying to help him. Someone needs to prepare him for reality. Reality? You told a 12-year-old autistic boy he's broken at his graduation. What kind of person does that? Someone who cares about his future. You can't protect him forever. You know what, Rebecca? You're right. People do need to learn about the real world. And you're about to get a comprehensive lesson. That night, I made a list. Rebecca worked as a real estate agent, struggling since her divorce. She lived in a rental, drove a car one payment from repossession. Her life balanced on a knife's edge, and she'd just given me reason to tip the scales. I called Tom Richardson, owner of Sunshine Realty where Rebecca worked. We'd gone to high school together. Tom, I need to tell you about an incident with one of your agents. I told him the story, keeping it calm and factual. The facts were damning enough. Are you sure she said that? Long pause. I'll look into this. By Wednesday, Rebecca was called into disciplinary meetings. By Friday, she was job hunting. Other parents had called too, and Tom decided someone who'd publicly humiliate a special needs child couldn't represent his family-friendly business. Next, I called Davidson Properties, Rebecca's apartment complex. They prided themselves on being inclusive, with programs for special needs families. Linda, this is Michael Thompson. We spoke about your special needs housing program years ago. I told her about Rebecca's behavior. Linda was horrified. She said that to your son? At graduation, Rebecca's lease was up in 2 months. Suddenly, they needed to raise her rent 40% for market adjustments. She couldn't afford it. I contacted our local autism support group. Word spread quickly. Rebecca found herself unwelcome at sensory-friendly businesses, special needs programs, everywhere our tight-knit community had influence. The real blow came 3 weeks later. Rebecca was dating David, a widower with a teenage daughter who had ADHD. His daughter Emma was in our support network. When Emma heard what Rebecca said to Jake, she told her father. David broke up with Rebecca that night. Rebecca called me the next day, voice shaking. What did you do? I told the truth about what you said to my son. You ruined my life. No, Rebecca. You ruined your own life when you decided to hurt a child. I just made sure people knew what kind of person you really are. She was crying. Michael, please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt Jake. Help? You called my autistic son weird and broken at his graduation. How was that helping? I was having a bad day. The divorce, losing the house. So you took it out on a 12-year-old boy? What do you want me to do? Apologize to Jake. Really apologize. And understand that actions have consequences. The next day, Rebecca came to our house looking terrible. Jake was playing with Legos, building an elaborate castle. He shrank back when she entered. "Jake, I came to apologize," she said, kneeling down. "I said mean things at your graduation, and I'm sorry. You're not weird, and you're not broken. You're wonderful, and I was wrong." Jake considered this. "Why did you say them if you didn't mean them?" "Because I was sad and angry about things that had nothing to do with you." "That was wrong. Were you sad because Uncle Mark left you?" Rebecca nodded, tears streaming. "Yes, but that's not your fault. When I'm sad, I sometimes say mean things too. Dad says I should apologize." "Your dad is right. Can you forgive me?" Jake looked at his castle, then back. "I forgive you. But can you help me finish this? I need someone to hold pieces while I build the tower." Over the following weeks, I gradually eased the pressure. Rebecca found a new job, new apartment, started therapy. Most importantly, she began treating Jake with respect and kindness. 3 months later, at Jake's middle school orientation, Rebecca was there volunteering. When she saw Jake, her face lit up genuinely. "Jake, ready for middle school?" He nodded, still shy, but no longer afraid. "I'm nervous." "That's normal, but you're going to do great. You're smart, kind, and hardworking. Any friend would be lucky to have you." 6 months later, Jake won first place in the regional robotics competition. As he accepted his trophy, glowing with pride, Rebecca cheered louder than anyone. She'd come so far from the bitter woman who tried to tear him down. "Dad, I won. I actually won. I'm so proud of you, buddy." Rebecca approached, eyes bright with genuine happiness. "Jake, that was incredible. You're so talented." As Jake explained his robot's programming, I caught Rebecca's eye. She smiled, and I smiled back. We'd all learned something important. Jake had learned he was valued and protected. Rebecca had learned words have consequences. And I'd learned that sometimes the best way to protect someone is to teach the world to treat them better. That night, tucking Jake into bed, he looked up with bright, trusting eyes. "Dad, I love you. I love you too, buddy. More than you'll ever know. Will you always protect me?" "Always, Jake. That's a promise." He smiled and closed his eyes, secure in knowing he was loved, protected, and valued exactly as he was. And I sat there knowing I'd do anything to keep that promise. Because that's what love does. It protects. It fights. It refuses to accept anything less than the best for the people it cherishes. And it teaches the world, one person at a time, that some things are worth fighting for. My son was one of those things. And anyone who tried to make him feel otherwise would learn that lesson the hard way. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.